UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
A lovely morning to you, and thank you so much for being with us. But is it still morning? Well, indeed, you can't say good afternoon. So it is a morning, because for some people, once they get at their workplace, they feel maybe it has ceased to be morning. And some, after having breakfast, then they feel maybe the morning shift has gone. Now they are transiting into something, but it's still a morning. And if I'm not wrong to say, a lovely morning to you. Thank you so much for keeping it with us on UBC TV. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, and it is the Extra. Now, this is an extension of Good Morning Uganda that comes your way from 6:30 when we open up. And I'll never get tired of reminding you that please make it a date with us every weekday. Let's start your morning. Let's spice up your morning. Let's cheer you up. And above all, with relevant information that you need to know that is happening locally and internationally. Now, this morning we are going to be discussing something very interesting, and that is innovation, to be very honest. Our government of Uganda, and of course, with the innovations that we are having, today it is very common for you to come across a motorcycle that is not using fuel, to come across a car that is not using fuel. Kira Motors has done so much when it comes to that. Now, tomorrow, there is an event that is going to be happening. And this is an open day of Kira Motors, where they are going to be showing you, at least for the time they have been around, the various technologies that they have been able to develop. And it has been termed as the Uganda E-Mobility Expo and Kira Vehicle Plan Open Day 2024. Now, that is what is going to be happening tomorrow. And with me, I'm delighted to have Alan Muhumuza, who happens to be the head of the Mobility Bureau, Secretariat of Science, Technology and Innovation, Office of the President. You're most welcome.
Pleasure to be here, Robert, and good morning to our viewers.
Well, it's quite a long thing here. Let me just understand. What does the Bureau on the Bureau Secretariat that is on mobility, what exactly do you do? What is this all about?
Yes.
And when I hear Office of the President, I have a big man with me here. So help me understand what your mandate is.
Yes, thank you, Robert. And it's a pleasure to be here at UBC. The national broadcaster. So the Science, Technology and Innovation Secretariat is what metamorphed out of the Ministry of Science before. And it's now really stationed under the President directly because he's the overall Minister of Science, deputized by the Minister, Honorable Dr. Monica Musenero. So we have priority industry value chains, which we are pushing for innovations within the country. And these value chains really are what we are looking at as, because first realize the qualitative leap that we are pursuing of the $550 billion economy by 2040, if not earlier. We have to have, for that socio-economic transformation, it has to be fueled by science, technology and innovation. So our strategy is two-pronged. We have what we call the new economy, which are typically sectors or areas which Uganda has not been playing a lot. And then the traditional economy, which most people might look at in terms of agriculture, some of the services we offer. and the strategy is different for these two. Now, mobility directly lies under the new economy. So the new economy, we have things like mobility, which deals with moving people and goods efficiently and effectively. We have aeronautics and space science. We have exploring space, satellites.
Remember when we launched
our satellites, that was under that program. We have infrastructure innovations, specifically looking at mineral beneficiation and adding value to our natural resources. We have Industry 4.0 plus, looking at fourth and fifth industrial revolution technologies like robotics, artificial intelligence, and the like. And then we have the pathogen economy. We're looking at vaccines, therapeutics, diagnostics, so that we can also start playing a role in that space. So that is really what we do at the Secretariat, and the Bureau of Mobility now is specifically looking at innovations that augment the mobility industry value chain. That is production, distribution, and the use of sustainable mobility solutions like the electric vehicles we'll be talking about today.
Very interesting. And one of the things I like about these vehicles, they don't make a lot of noise. When it passes, this one of the famous van,
Yes.
I think it transports people at the airport, either staff or what?
Yes,
The
Kayola EV,
The
yes.
Kayola EV,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
meet that so often.
Yes.
But not even a single sound. And really, it's something very interesting. But, well, it is much bigger. We want to look at Uganda's readiness to transit into e-mobility. Now, also, Alan, I'll ask you for the benefit of our viewer, when we talk about e-mobility, please, what is this? In simple terms, so that we move in the same van.
Now, interestingly, if you look at history of the automotive industry globally, which is over a century old, the first vehicle to actually be invented was an electric vehicle.
Not fuel.
Yes, it was an electric vehicle. Because at that time, it was actually, the engine even hadn't reached the level it is right now. But we had the electricity reaching literally everywhere. So this is not a new conversation, but the technology now has got to the point where it far outstrips what we have been seeing with the fuel vehicles, which we'll get into a bit. Use of electricity to move a vehicle. Yeah, so vehicles that are powered by electricity in one form or the other, either directly or indirectly. So so the direct for electricity is normally, I don't know if you've seen in some of these countries, trams which are directly hooked up to the grid constantly. So it's like a train or even a bus in some cases where it's connected to the grid consistently. So it's picking electricity directly and it's running the battery. Running the motor. But there are cases where you have a battery which you charge and then that battery drives the car. So those we have different types. We have a full electric vehicle like the Kayola EVS bus, but you also have hybrids. So hybrids will have both an engine and a motor and a battery to propel. So e-mobility really encompasses all these sectors, as long as electricity is involved. We also have technologies like fuel cells, which literally you have a generator of electricity inside the car, creating the electricity which then drives the car. So these are all interesting, exciting innovations and technologies which I think have now reached a point of maturity. Because before, much as we started with electric vehicles over a century ago, the challenge then was how do you store this electricity? So you find batteries are this big, and you can't be able to pack it in a car which you can drive from Maki, India to Kampala. But now the technology has evolved to the point where a battery, in a phone like this, the battery inside is really, really small. So now we have better charge density, and now electric mobility is at the forefront.
Now the question is, let's look at our readiness as a country to go into this, where first it's a new thing.
Yeah.
The first time people were talking of hybrid cars, it was more of a myth. When you tell a person that there is a car that doesn't consume fuel at any point, but usually they would not even understand what you're talking about. So today, at what stage of readiness, and readiness I mean ability to purchase, availability of these e-mobility vehicles or motorcycles, but also mindset change towards something.
Yes. Uganda's journey actually started much earlier than now, as far back as 2008, with at Makerere University, a project that started there to see how, working with the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in the US, to design the Vision 200. And that story has evolved with the team building competencies over the years, with the Kira EV, the green car, which really became a pathfinder for this industry, and it showed that we can actually do it, and demystified the myth that we can't, and that journey has continued to evolve with government support. All out now, you're seeing on some of those shots on the screen of the products that we now have, the competence we have built as a nation, and the factory that is producing these buses. Now, even before we get into how ready we are, I think some of the questions even is why? Why should we even be in this space? Of what value could it be?
Because many would say it's the global trend now.
Yeah, but should we
That
just pursue a global trend?
We are believing very soon fossil fuels will be phased out.
Yes.
So you rather prepare for
Now.
now.
Yeah, but also the preparation needs to be very strategic. Because you see, the thing about these other vehicles, we import, I think the financial year 2023, Uganda imported about 55,000 vehicles for private use. That doesn't include government vehicles. And over about 150,000 motorcycles in 1 year. Our import bill of vehicles has grown from about $160 million in 1996 to now about $795 million. The second most expensive import after petroleum and oil products, which is about $2 billion. So there is that reliance of imported products. And these vehicles we are importing are used vehicles, an average age of 16 years. Now the fact that they are used and they are end of life, they are very inefficient in the way they burn fuel. Now you find every kilometer you're traveling, you are emitting about half a kilogram of carbon dioxide in the air.
Half a kilogram?
Yes, for every kilometer traveled, on average. Now, that has two implications, actually three implications. One is there's the direct impact of those emissions in the air in terms of air quality. That is immediate. You feel it. When you're driving through the streets, you feel it. And about 13,000 deaths annually are attributed to air-related ailments in Uganda. And Kampala is the fifth most polluted city in Africa. Fifth most polluted city, yes. As a result of the vehicles we have on the road. Now, the second repercussion of these vehicles is the climate change. Now, climate change comes a bit later. You don't see the effects of the emissions now in terms of climate change. That one is you see it a decade later. The impact of that comes a bit of a decade later. Now, the third implication is that as a result of this climate change, Africa is expected to lose about 1.5 to 3% of its GDP just dealing with the effects of climate change every year.
Which is a man-created problem.
A man-created problem by our things we have made and the things we're importing. And it's making us lose money in the economy directly towards things that might not be related. So it becomes therefore critical that we have solutions that are sustainable and that address our problems. But also our problems go beyond just the air and environmental stewardship. There's also the problem of mobility. How can we move efficiently from one point to another?
Yes.
So the conversation now is, one, can we start creating solutions for Africa that address Africa's unique mobility needs? And can these solutions actually be sustainable? So that is now how the journey comes all through to see how we link economy to the people and therefore to infrastructure. Yeah. Now, the government has directly invested over $100 million over the past about five years, directly in many areas, including the establishment of Kira Motors Corporation, which is a state enterprise fully owned by government.
And that is what you're seeing on your screen.
Yeah, that's what we're seeing on the screen. That's the facility in Jinja, sitting on 100 acres of land. And that's where the e-mobility expo and the open day will be tomorrow.
Yes.
Now, that has enabled us to develop capacity locally to actually produce the products we need that are unique to our requirements. Because the way we use a vehicle in Uganda, like a bus, is different from the way it's used in Europe. Let's import a vehicle from these countries. It might not be tailor-made for what we use. Yeah, that's why you find these vans, which are typically designed to carry cargo, come here and they're converted into taxis. Use case is different from what it was designed to do. So we are ready on the side of the production. Yeah, And that also goes beyond the buses. We also have electric motorcycles, which are being done by a number of companies. And right now, they even can't supply the demand because they have they have more demand than they can meet to supply. Now we are ready on that side. Now the other question is, how ready are we on the infrastructure side to uptake this new technology? And the approach we've taken as a country is to prioritize public transport. Because public transport, one, Uganda's motorization rate, which is what we call number of vehicles per 1,000 inhabitants of a country, is 13 vehicles per 1,000 people. So that implies Africa's average is about 44.
And global recommendations ratio.
The global, if you go like in North America, you find about 800, 900. In South Korea, it's over 1,000. They have more vehicles than people. But here, over 98% of Ugandans don't own a car. The cars are just here in Kampala. When you start going out, you barely see any.
When you go out, a car is something very big.
It's a tourist attraction. It passes, all the children come and congregate. So people are relying on public transport to move. Over 90% of our traffic of passengers is by road. The few can afford water and air and rain trail are doing that. Now, therefore, the attention needs to be on how do we develop these solutions to actually meet the needs of the greater mass population. And that is why the approach was to do the buses first. Because the buses are addressing the need of the muntu wa bulijjo. The motorcycles are also addressing the same need, because if you need to move very quickly to circumvent the traffic, the motorcycle can do it for you much faster. So therefore now the infrastructure we are building is to support that backbone. But also we have developed what we call the e-mobility strategy for the country. And in there, one of the priority areas is the charging network. And our target is to have at least 15,000 chargers, fast DC chargers within the country by 2040.
I've seen one at the Ministry of Energy,
yes.
Just in front there.
Yes.
Though I wonder the space looks so...
No, the space is enough, because you know there's that street parking which can be temporarily removed such that the vehicles can park, charge and exit.
Okay.
Yeah, the space is there.
Every time I pass there, what comes to my mind is, now if I bring a car here, you know, this is a street, where does...
The space can be created at the point where someone needs to charge. So that is one example of government directly investing in a charging network. Right now we have about 20 chargers in the country, fast chargers, DC fast chargers in the country. There's one installed at Amber House, which I've talked about by the government. There are 3 stations run by Kira Motors, actually 4 stations run by Kira Motors, one in the industrial area, one at Nambole, one at in Nakasongola at Luero Industries, and one in Jinja at the plant. But we also have some private players who have set up a few, like Mandela at Cafe Javas in Kamoja. Yeah. So we are already seeing even private sector now coming
moving into that direction.
Moving into that direction, because government has already set the pathway. And we're also working on guidelines to really support this venture. But the motorcycle side now, for it, the business model is different. For them, they are doing a swap your battery, because it's a bit small, so you can remove it and put another one. So it deals with the issue of how long will it take to charge.
I've also come across one that they give you the charger. There's the private sector,
yes.
I've seen, they tell you if someone pays and completes, because most of these are on their own loan scheme, then they give you your charger. But before you complete, we swap battery. But when others, you forever will be swapping batteries.
Yes, so those are different models. The reason why it's a bit of an advantage, especially for the rider, to swap, because the battery is very expensive. It's the most expensive component of an electric vehicle. In some cases, it could even be up to 60% of the cost of the vehicle. So if you take that cost away from, because this one is a typical border rider. You know, these border riders are not that liquid. So they might not be able to raise the money. But if you eliminate this high cost and you offer it as a service, just like when you buy a car, you don't buy it with a fuel station, you don't buy it with the fuel. You will go get fuel from someone else who is, so if you offer it as a service, then it helps to bring down the initial cost of purchase. And this can be treated as an operational expense, just like you would fuel. And in any case, it is cheaper to actually run the electric vehicle than the fuel one. So in that side of the two-wheelers, we have over 140 swapping stations across the country. In Kampala, stretching all the way to Masaka in the west, all the way to Nakasongola in the central, and all the way to Bujiri in the east, and continuing to grow. So on the side of infrastructure, we are getting there. Now, on the side of the people, because I think the products we have already looked at as part of the manufacturing capabilities. In terms of the people, we're also seeing how do we skill, because you have people like technicians who are used to the petrol and fuel vehicles, and more so even old technologies. Then the drivers, like for buses, you find that if you're driving a diesel bus, the dynamics are a bit unique. But also when it comes to people who are graduating, they need to be also upskilled in some of these new technologies. So we are running power programs to address different points in the different segments of the human capital. For the drivers, we actually have a program we are running with Kira Motors as the Science, Technology and Innovation Secretariat, which we have funded fully, where we are skilling, so far we have finished skilling 101 electric bus operators, free of charge, fully paid by government. So that our bus operators, we're trying to transition the taxis to buses. So that by the time they are ready to uptake, they have the people who can actually operate them.
Who can operate these buses, yes.
Yeah. We are running a second cohort of 215 operators, free of charge. And right now there's a call out there. If you're a bus operator with the requirements, you can go to kiramotors.com, the website, and get information there and apply. Free. You don't pay any single shilling. Fully covered by government. So on that side, we are taking some steps. We're also taking steps now on the side of skilling the technicians, specifically working with Kira Motors, but also the private sector.
And I'm happy because many people, when a new model or something comes up, we always have issues with the technicians.
Absolutely.
Do these people understand this particular? Now when we talk about immobility,
can they support you?
Can they support you? Are you going to take it to the garage and it's a menace and you leave it there? Or do they have the basics on how best? Because they're very different.
Yes.
They're really very different. A hybrid Harrier and the ordinary, they don't.
Yeah. There's too much electronics in
too
one.
much electronics. So if you know manji, they'll tell you togura.
Yeah, that is very true.
Actually,
these technicians are very powerful people.
Yes.
Because they influence your purchase decision.
Yeah.
Most people, when they're going to buy a new car, guess who they ask?
The mechanic.
The mechanic.
Even if, of course, I'll go with him.
Yeah.
Look there,
so the mechanic can also be a big hindrance to our uptake agenda.
So they'll create this wrong mentality.
Yes,
and
that these vehicles are bad.
Don't bother.
Yeah, So we are working on that side as well. Kira Motors are working out a kind of curriculum to upskill them. But we are also working with what we, as the Secretariat, we have also set up the Engineering Development and Incubation Center in Rebitete, which is going to be also, because now you have the mechanics you're helping, but you also need people who can work in the factory. The engineers and technicians who can actually work in the factory to make the vehicles. So we are operating a factory model where we ensure that the people who have finished university or have gone through vocational institutions have the skills to work in the factory to make these vehicles. There's also a program with Makerere University and Kira Motors where we are also doing the same for the undergraduates and the graduate trainees. So on that front, so we're running all these power programs on the different facets of the value chain to ensure that we have the human capital to realize it. So I think we are getting very, very ready. Right now we are ready to uptake. Now we are enhancing that so that it is even more seamless for the average Ugandan.
I love the fact that government is handling it wholesome, not just one sector, but just a quick one. When you talk about, there's something that usually disturbs me. Things manufactured here,
yes,
because you have not talked about on affordability. Things manufactured here, why are they sometimes more expensive than what we import here? For example, if I want to purchase, in case we get there, a vehicle from Kera Motors, I remember their first output. What was that car?
The Kira EVA.
Yeah, Andrew Mwenda was so famous.
Oh, the Kira EVS.
Yes.
The sedan.
When I looked at the cost, because I would like to, it really looked so good.
Yes.
So modern, but someone told me, well, you could have to sell your land and that of your ancestors and those came before you. So why is it that what we are manufacturing here then turns out to be more expensive? Yes.
I think there are different perspectives to this. One is in terms of what we are comparing. Yeah. Because what people are used to, especially in vehicles, are used vehicles.
Yes, true.
So the comparison sometimes is an unfair one when you're comparing a new vehicle to a used vehicle.
Yes.
So that is something to think about. But the other more important thing as well is how, which I think is a critical question you asked, because you said that most of the products that are made in Uganda, which goes beyond even the vehicles, might be a bit pricey. There are many contributors to that conversation. But more importantly, if you're starting a new industry, chances are high, because they've indeed realized the economies of scale, chances are high that the product might be slightly more expensive than like China, because China right now competing with it on price is complicated. So the thing is, how do you niche yourself such that you are offering value? Because it shouldn't just be about the price, but what value are you offering? A product like a bus or a motorcycle, these are things that are used to make money. It's not like a private car, which you buy and it's a liability to you. These ones are assets. They are literally money-making machines, products. The bus is being used for public transport, the border is making money to feed his family. So if now you look at now in terms of the bottom line of if someone goes and buys a diesel bus or if he buys an electric bus from Kira Motors, how does the economics look like? And there we have proven it, even with so many operators we have run with, that they will make more money. In some cases up to 60% more money.
Because first this is tailor-made for us here.
Tailor-made for us.
Whether roads are...
And then in terms of electricity and servicing, much cheaper. But then the question is, how would we therefore also help these innovators to offer products that are more affordable? Now, for e-mobility, we have put in place some fiscal incentives to help on that side, to bring down the cost of the product to the end user. One is effective this year, this financial year. All electric vehicles made in Uganda are going to be VAT exempt. So you're not paying 18%. The one you import, you will pay. So that we can start, because you want to discourage and encourage the local players. But two, income tax for manufacturers of electric vehicles and parts in Uganda is exempt for 10 years. So that you're able to reinvest your profits and not have that burden of paying that income tax. Stamp duty is exempt. Excise duty is exempt. So these are incentives that the government has put in place to help on the side of the price point to the end user, to bring it down. Because now if 18% is already going away, where you'd have bought 5 buses, you can now buy 6 with the same money. Yeah. Now the other thing is then, how do we also enable the economies of scale? Now that's where things like offtake come in. So there's a program we are running, funded also by government, and working with the operators, the local operators, specifically in Jinja, to pilot a certain model we can use that we can then scale to the whole country in terms of the buses and motorcycles working in harmony to create an efficient public transport system. So that government can then easily offtake these products and create demand. But also, how do we also ensure that the end users can access financing that is affordable? Because if you're a bus operator, you want to buy a fleet of 20 buses, you might not have all that money.
Definitely.
So you want to go to a financial institution to get money. But the money in commercial banks, interest might be a bit difficult. So we're also working with Uganda Development Bank so that we can have a facility there for some of these fleet, especially targeting the taxi drivers and operators as we transition them to buses and electric buses. So that's a conversation we're also having. And that should also help access to capital for them to also operate and start generating the revenue, which then can pay back the asset and also pay back the facility. And a bit more affordable in single digits, if even possible, because it can be realized. So that's the approach we are taking in terms of addressing the concern of affordability. But one thing I can assure Ugandans is that the products we actually have, the vehicles we have, and the motorcycles on the road are actually affordable. In some cases, they're even cheaper than what you can import.
Well, very interesting, government of Uganda. And when you listen to Alan telling us that government plans, the steps so far taken to ensure that e-mobility is the thing to go for Ugandans, definitely that is very good news. We just hope that all goes as planned. How soon are we looking at these transitions that, Alan, we can wake up and say, we are now there?
So the e-mobility expo that is happening tomorrow in Jinja is also in a way to create awareness and shed a spotlight on this ecosystem. Because some people out there don't even know that these products exist and they can access them.
Yes.
Some of the manufacturers don't know the suppliers who are there and are even within the country. So we're shedding a spotlight on the ecosystem, while also creating a platform for networking, because we also bring in investors to see if they can actually also invest here locally. Now, this transition we are pursuing, the e-mobility strategy targets that by 2030, public transport should have fully transitioned to e-mobility.
2030?
No, it's not so far.
Not so far.
Very ambitious plan. By 2040, we should have at least 1 million electric motorcycles. All of them should be electric. And about 15,000 electric buses. By 2040, our target is also now that the new vehicle sales for passenger vehicles should also have transitioned to electric. So it's a very ambitious plan, but it's realizable. One of the other projects which I didn't mention that we are pursuing, especially on the side of localization, because our target is that these vehicles should be at least 65% of by value local content. That's how we generate the value here, contributing 12.5% to GDP.
So now would we say that maybe we are doing a bit of assembling and manufacturing? Right
now we have about 18 to 30% local content, depending on which product you're looking at. But also more importantly, Uganda now is globally recognized as a vehicle manufacturing country, officially.
Are we manufacturing?
I'm coming. Now there is the International Society of Automotive Engineers, which oversees the entire automotive space. And they issue what we call World Manufacturers Identifiers. For those who know VIN numbers, when we talk about VIN number, the VIN number is an identifier of a product and its origin and where it was made. Now, Uganda was issued to one of the only 14 countries in Africa that was given a World Manufacturers Identifier by the International Society of Automotive Engineers, which makes history, recognizing that Uganda actually makes vehicles. Now, in Uganda now we allocate numbers to those companies we have accredited and certified that they're actually making. So Kira Motors was the first to receive a number to also issue VINs at their factory. So that is a vote of confidence that indeed we are making these things here. Now, if you're just assembling someone's product, it comes with its VIN because it is not your product. Toyota maybe or whatever has made it in their factory and sent you to assemble here and sell. So it will come with its VIN number. So the fact that we are issuing our own VIN numbers here, and this is a history, it's a stamp that we are manufacturing and making. But assembly is a central part of our manufacturing, because after you've manufactured, you have to assemble what you've manufactured.
Alan, that is complicated.
Yes.
But of course, the gist of this is e-mobility.
Yeah.
The truth is, Uganda, we are moving in this direction. We've made strides.
Yeah.
It is still work in progress. And tomorrow we're having an expo where you're going to come and see what is being manufactured here and look at all the progress that we've so far done. I want us now to concentrate in these few remaining minutes on tomorrow's event. What should someone expect? Who is invited? You know, and all that. So
tomorrow's event, which is the first of its kind in the region, actually, we have invited over 200 ecosystem players, both private and public sector, to come and share. And one thing we're going to do is we're going to broadcast this on our social media platforms live. Someone will be able to see. The guest of honor is the Right Honorable Alitwala Kadaga, the first Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister for East African Affairs, and hosted by the Honorable Minister for Science, Honorable Dr. Monica Musenero. So tomorrow's event, which will run from about midday to about 6 p.m., will, on our platforms, if you go to Kira Motors or STI Secretariat, it will be broadcast live for anyone who's not able to come and who might have not received an invitation, so that the Ugandans can see. But we are opening this up as well, because people might think that getting into the Kira vehicle plant, for example, is for only a chosen few. But we have hosted schools, we have hosted even families. People who come and they want to see what's happening with their children to inspire them. We have hosted so many groups of people, companies, you know, tourists. So it's open to you if you want to come on any day apart from tomorrow. Tomorrow may be a bit complicated.
Yes.
But for any other day, you can always reach out through the social media platforms at Kira Motors or with the website, or info@kiramotors.com on the email, and actually book a day. You can come. I've had some groups, you find OBs come together of a certain school and they want to come and spend a day there and get inspired to see what's happening in the country. So Ugandans are welcome to come and participate and also see, because once you come, you also get to see opportunity. Because there are things which you might not yet see because you haven't been exposed to them. What you don't know, you don't know.
Yes.
So we are helping also to show people the opportunities there are, where they could actually invest their money. Instead of going and building a mall downtown, it might make more sense. For example, pick a part like bolts and nuts and set up a small cottage factory and supply the plant and actually make 100x the money you would have made downtown in a building. So we welcome all Ugandans to come and be a part of this journey, and also to follow tomorrow's event across all platforms.
It will be live on UBC TV.
Yes.
That is tomorrow. Yes.
So I welcome all Ugandans and looking forward to also engaging on social media. There's always a lot of conversation there, and I love the way the conversations now have shaped, because now the conversations are no longer about can we. It's now of how far, you know, they are more positive, and people are seeing the value of why we should be doing the things which many people might say we shouldn't, but which are very important that we do. Because if someone else is doing these things, we'll be paying them all the dollars. $795 million every year is not little money. It could go to building a hospital somewhere. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Alan, and of course our viewer. Thank you so much. But before I let you go, tomorrow is the D-Day, and Uganda Broadcasting Corporation will be broadcasting live events as they unfold at Kira Motors, which is tomorrow. And you see the various technologies that Uganda has been able to make the breakthrough. One of them is the Kayola van. When you come across this, it's very clean very lit, no noise at all, no smoke coming out, but all these technologies will be shown to you live on UBC TV as the function will be going on. Now I have to let you go, but before I do that, let me just have your parting shot.
Yes, thank you, Robert. Thank you for hosting me. I think right now it's happening. The future is now. The future is green and the future is now. We are, one of my favorite quotes is that the best way to make the best way of realizing the dreams in the future is to actually make them happen. Yeah, you have to create the future you want to see. And right now we are in the midst of seeing this future unfolding before our eyes. I believe that now is the time for us to even be more intentional, especially in believing, one, that we can do it as Africa, to develop solutions for ourselves, solutions that meet the needs that we uniquely have, and to support these innovations across all boards, whether it's in terms of investment, whether it is in terms of uptake for it to consume. For me right now, when I go to a supermarket, I look out for Ugandan products intentionally, because I know I'm supporting a Ugandan company which is employing maybe my cousin in one way or the other, or my sister, or my auntie. So we need as a country to be, and this calls for effort for all of us. We all have a role to play in one way or the other to support these interventions that we are putting in place to realize the qualitative leap of our economy and leave an inheritance for the future generation.
Well, thank you so much, Alan, for your time. And of course, our viewer, we have been discussing e-mobility, and I'm very sure in one way or the other, most of those in urban cities, you've come across either a vehicle or a motorcycle. It's now common. The motorcycles are flooding the market. We want to thank also the private sector for also working with our government, those that have endeavored into this e-mobility, electronically driven, not driven actually, electronically, those that don't use anything to do with fossil fuels. And of course, there's so much good for our environment, but also Alan has just told me that it makes more profit actually. One, most of these are brand new, but also away from the environmental benefits, if you're to go business this way, well, you make more profits. The day is tomorrow. That is the e-mobility expo and Kera Motors Open Day, and Uganda Broadcasting Corporation will be giving you the events as they unfold at this plant. Have a lovely day. God bless you. God bless Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Pick of the day on UBC.
He expected me to die like within the first 2 years.
Out of the blue, the child will get pains, especially in the wrists. And this happens commonly when children are starting to walk.
Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with Baby Junior jelly.
Though dried their chariots and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, Baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love Baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior's the skin. No more worries anymore. Boo, 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 boo. Baby Junior.
Baby Junior.
Abantu batori nywena Nyati Motion Pictures ebaletire filmu erukuoleka ebyafaayo bya Toro kuruka hamukama wa Tora yabandize Kaboyo Kasusu Nkwanzi. ijo manya urubuga rwa Toro rukarugira nkaho kurweta Fort Poto.
Toro Kingdom was carved out of Bunyoro Kitale.
In 1830, King Nyamutukura
akasindika omutabani we
kaboyo yekire Toro kama shongere kumutwekere bukodo.
I'm forming my own kingdom.
Nyoro na Batoro basically muntu womu.
Tuko pamoja? Filimu yenu neja kurorwa Hanyaika Hotel kya Sabiti ebiro byokwezi 18 omwezi gwa 8 kutandika saa 10 kichweka izarwe bagyo. Kutunga tiketi yawe tere simu namba 0778 788 680.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with baby junior jelly.
Though dried their chariots and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, baby junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love baby junior jelly. Baby junior's the skin. No more worries anymore. Boo, 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 boo. Baby junior.
Baby Junior.
Mukoke Fish Farmers Association tuli balunzi ba byananda ebyebika ebisatu omuli Miracap, Tilapia,